and good morning, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Professor Mystic, also Tanya. Mystic is my self-chosen name. This is a class of an ongoing series of, sorry about my video, guys. It likes to do this weird in and out thing. So hopefully we can get it set so it won't try and focus on what's behind me. And yeah, so this is a Crystal Capsule 101 in terms of the beginnings, sort of beginning level of crystals. Every time we start a class, I go over a couple of important things that if you're new, you need to know, and it's really good it's really good to remember them if you've already heard it. And Hannah just put up the thing. This is through Divination Academy, and there are also a number of YouTube videos that I've done that are on and posted on YouTube. So please subscribe and like and do all that good stuff and leave nice things. I only take nice things. You should say things. Just saying. Okay, so thank you, Hannah. So the first thing is about crystals. The point of these classes, the point of me teaching is that I love crystals. I absolutely am passionate about crystals. And what I want is I want people to feel a little bit of my enthusiasm and passion and love for them so that they can start to build on that. It's like perfume. This is my analogy. I can feel Hannah rolling her eyes. This is my analogy. It is like perfume. If I smell it, just holding it, and you smell it, we can kind of agree on it. But then when it's on me, it can smell completely different. And if it's on someone else, it can smell completely different. Crystals are very much the same, where there are some standard qualities that they have. But if you are holding a stone that is meant for grounding, but it sends you up and it gives you a mental charge, then that's what it does for you. And as you work with crystals, then you will feel different things from them. They are not sentient, obviously. They're sentient to me, but they're not sentient. But they do have chemical structures that are found in the human body as well. So it's called lattice work. In crystals, it's called lattice work. And those are also found in the bodies, in our body. So going backstepping to where I was starting to run. So cleaning crystals, this comes up a lot. I use smoke and sound, breath, sunlight, moonlight, and other stones. You can use selenite and hematite are two stones that are self-cleaning. There are a number of other stones that will clean themselves, but they don't necessarily clean other stones. So it is, I don't use water or salt. And part of that is because if anything's got any kind of iron in it, the salt can cause it to rust. And then it can get into the cracks, and it can fall apart from there. Also water, tumbled crystals can handle a little bit of water sometimes, but I just, as a rule, don't use water because the list between what you can do and what you can't do is just too long. So I just keep it simple. And I use smoke and sound the most. I've been working on breath, and breath is when you hold your crystal, the intention, key part, the intention in you is to clear out everything that the crystal is holding so that it becomes as close to being based in what the planet. And then you use your breath and you blow out anything that comes. And I'm getting better at it. I'm not there yet. I still use smoke and sound. Charging. So if your crystal feels like it needs to be empowered, It needs to be charged up. You can do this with sunlight for usually for 2 or 3 hours max, and then moonlight. You can leave it in. You can leave it in the moon for the night. And intention, and obviously intention, in all kinds of work is very important. Intention. You know, you are holding that and you're putting your intention to charge it back to its natural state as much as possible. Programming is when you request of a stone for certain kinds of energy or certain kinds of support. That would be programming. And then when you're done working with it, then obviously we always give our gratitude and say, thank you so much for working with me or for helping me. One of the other things that
one note about sunlight: if you leave it in the sun longer than 3 hours, it can bleach it, especially amethyst. That's definitely happened to some of my amethyst towers. And then I have not yet seen any of them go back to their original color. I just want people to be aware of that.
So amethyst, rose quartz, fluorite, super fluorite fades very, very quickly. But yeah, it's a short period of time. So then, yeah, so that's important about the charging. Okay.
Mystic, can you mute everyone?
Yeah, hang on. Hang on a second.
Meaning nothing.
It's not, it should show up over on the, it should show up. No, I'm not seeing it right now. So I'm just going to have to ask everybody if you could please mute, unless you're asking a question. That would be really helpful today. For some reason, it's not showing up on my, when I hit the tab button there. So thank you so much for that. Now, one of the other things is charging your hands, and this is getting your hands ready to work with the crystal. You can start by rubbing your hands together and then pulling them apart. You'll start to feel energy. The more that you sensitize yourself to it, the more likely you're going to be able to feel energy within it. And then you can build that up and eventually you can feel your whole aura. You can feel your etheric. And so it's a good practice, but it also helps a lot to be able to feel the crystal in your hand and be able to be open to that, because your hand is sensitized and the energy centers in your palms are opened. So today, so those are my major, that's what I go over every time. Sorry for the redundancy. I just feel that if there's new people, that those are just important things to know. We've been working on the energy centers, also called chakras. I don't use the term chakra, I use the term energy center. Even though I did live in India and my belief system is heavily influenced by Hinduism, I still feel that that's how they work. And so energy center works best for me. And that's what I've been using for the last 25 years of work. Today, we're going to work on the throat, and blue is the color that goes with this. And last time we did green, and I didn't mention this at the point because I just wanted the green to have its time to be open. But green and the heart center is very much the pivot point between survival mode, which is the red, orange, and yellow. And then you have green in the middle. And then you have blue, indigo, and violet, or blue, violet, and white. You have the higher centers. And so the green is that pivot point. So today, now we're looking more towards, we work with the throat, and we're looking more towards the higher aspects of ourselves. And it's always a work in progress. So just because you're having to do shadow work that's very much based in your root energy center or your sacral energy center, that doesn't mean that you also also need to be doing the work at the higher centers at the same time. But green is the pivot point, and now we're starting into work with these higher centers. Now the throat is from above the heart, the throat energy center. It is very much, it's a wheel, and it's very much felt coming from sort of in the middle of your throat, but it goes up to the mouth. That sort of about that much space comes out that you can feel if your hands are super sensitive. It is to do with the words that come to mind with the throat energy center is communication and expressions and being able to speak one's truth. It's also about where self-expression in terms of giving life to what's going on in ourselves starts. Because communication, whether it's communication with another person, this energy center also has to do with communication with oneself. That sort of, in a sense, journaling. This is where as you start to reach towards higher aspects of oneself, if you're journaling, then this would be very much the throat center that you're working from. There's an aspect of where self-responsibility, freedom, and understanding is really major points that come from this energy center. Now, it is also, there's a lot of the words, and these goes for the stones that we'll be working with today. There's a lot of words about communication and speaking, but the other side of that, which is very much important to remember, is also listening. It is part of this throat energy center. This blue part of our body is very much also to do with listening to other people and listening to ourselves, because we don't always listen to ourselves. The world does a very good job of making sure that we don't listen to ourselves. And so it is important that we listen to ourselves. This is where you'll hear like the catchphrase for the throat energy center is speaking your truth. But it's also about so you've had the survival centers where you've been doing this work, you get to the heart, and now it starts to push you up into the more higher thinking, higher mental, higher emotional center in our bodies, which is, we always think about this, well, I always think about this above my head, not just my head, that this is where it starts to come up. If you look in artwork, there's always these big cones and stuff. And I think that that's work that people have done where it starts to build up above the head. So you've done the work for the base, your heart, you're starting to feel your heart, and now you're starting to be able to express in a coherent and it's not so much the struggle. Now it's being able to speak things true, to speak things out. So that's a rundown on the heart center. We are doing 3 stones today. I should pause for 5 seconds. Does anybody have any questions in regards to the throat or the blue aspect of the throat energy center? Okay, so I'm going to continue, and the first stone I'm going to talk about is called Larimar. I'm not sure. What about the thyroid? The thyroid is part of the throat, and so if you have, and just that butterfly that the thyroid is, that is affected by your throat center. If you, I'm very much along the lines that crystal work is complementary. If you are on medication, do not stop taking your medication. Keep your medication, but you can work with crystals to especially if you have to do with hypothyroidism. The fact is that you're probably repressing, you're not saying what you need to say. You take the medication, it's still there. I mean, it may not be there physically, but it's still there electrically. They've done tests, there's all kinds of tests. I mean, you think about phantom pain. If someone loses something, they still feel it. So if your thyroid has been removed, that doesn't change the fact of the work that you can do to strengthen and help that thyroid. Don't stop taking the thyroxine, because that would, I think it's thyroxine. That would be not a good thing to do, but you can definitely strengthen that aspect of things through this work with the throat. It is, I don't know if anybody's heard of Carillion photography. Probably most people have, but that is when they're able to photograph the aura. And Carillion photography started with leaves, and they would take photographs of leaves, and it would look like this, and then they would rip off half of it, so it would look, this is what the physical leaf looked like. So this, and then when they would take the picture, it would look like this. Just because something's been removed, it doesn't mean that electrical energy and that electrical body it's still there. So if you don't have a thyroid, that doesn't make it is still there, and you can do that work and strengthen that energy center without any issues. Just don't not take your medication. So I'm back. Okay, any other questions? Hope that helped. All right, so Larimar, as if you've been here before, you know I struggle with where my video picture is. And so this is Larimar. And it is a beautiful, beautiful Caribbean stone. It's from the Dominican. It's the only place that it can be found. And I have rough, and then I have what are called tumbled ones. And it is very, it's not a super common stone, but it's not as rare as the price seems to think. It's easy to get, just loose pieces. It comes in a lot of beautiful different jewelry. I have my bracelet on today because we're going over it today. And it is just so soft stone. This stone is very gentle, and it's very soft. It's a healing stone, and it will soothe you and helps you see who you are. It is one of these stones, because we're now looking at a bigger picture of ourselves, and it helps soothe those questions that come up in ourselves in regards to, for example, if you have a tendency of beating yourself up in terms of, I didn't do this right, and some of those solar plexus things, this is a great stone to soothe that, to quiet that voice down. It helps, it's a good stone to shift from the material world. It moves, so you're no longer, if you're feeling very base and feel very stuck in sort of like, not reality, because it's all reality, but very stuck in your stuff kind of thing, and you need to move up. Larimar's a great stone for that. It is good for aggression and guilt, as it opens up new dimensions, so that if you have aggression and you are trying to move from that, this is a very good stone that can help. It clears stagnation from our throat area. So if your throat tends to be a bit sort of feels clogged up. I'm thinking more about electrically as opposed to physically, but obviously physically as well. Larimar is a really good stone for that. And it actually can do all the way up into the sinuses, even though that's closer towards the third eye. It can also help with the sinuses. And I wouldn't be surprised if doing tapping with it, like if you had it to do some tapping on the sinuses and where the sinuses are, that it might help if you had like a sinus headache coming on and you just want to try and stop it before. Anyway, it's just the idea that I just had. Now, hopefully my sinuses will not kick in the middle of the class, because that would kind of be a bummer. But the most thing, and you'll notice the trends with, I chose 3 stones, you'll notice the trends with them because they're actually very similar in the things and the frequencies that they carry overall. Like I said, if you are feeling low in energy and you grab a stone that is calming, it can charge you up if you need it to charge you up. So that's Larimar. Anything else here? Let me check my notes. Oh, yes. And then this one, so there's a bunch of stones, not a bunch, there's a number of stones that are really good for grief. This is a stone that's really good for the grief that we feel in ourselves about ourselves. Howlite and Apache tears are really good if you've lost someone. But this is very much, as you change, we are faced with the grief that we are not the same person that we were. And that even though we're happy where we are, we're working towards different goals, this stone is very good to help if you need that extra support as you move forward, because you're changing and sometimes it's difficult to accept those changes. So that's Larimar. And I am now going to go to blue lace agate, and there's a certain amount, there's lots of different kinds of agates. So there's certain things that agates carry as a sort of overview, but they also are very open to the color that they are. So they're going to give you can have picturesque jasper. No, it's jasper. Sorry. You can have moss agate, and that's going to be very connected to your heart, connected to it's connected to the colors that it resonates with, that it has within it. So blue lace agate. I have this really gorgeous piece of blue lace agate. You should be able to see the bands in it. I don't have any rough blue lace agate. At the end of class, we'll talk about the difference between rough and smooth or polished, tumbled. So, oh, that wasn't the good one. Gosh, sorry guys. Here we go. Ooh, yeah. Look at that. Very nice, Hannah.
These are the ones I picked out of inventory. Blue lace agate is one of my favorites. I have a lot of it.
That's awesome. Thank you, Hannah. So, blue lace agate. Now, I have this little blue lace agate on today. Okay, somebody's, sorry, we're doing this again to try and mute. I don't know why I can't find it. If everybody could mute, that would be awesome. I would appreciate it. So now someone's doing the dishes. Okay, hang on. Why can't I figure out, hang on guys, figure out why I can't figure out how to mute I figured it out last time. All right. So everybody please mute. Be really great. Okay, I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to keep going.
There's three that is not muted: Kim, Anna, and Melissa.
And me.
Of course.
Sorry, I'm one of those people, I laugh at my own jokes. So blue lace agate, it is, and I wear it because it's good for public speaking. It's good for calming oneself down. If one is needs to communicate something, it would be really good. Second. All right, who's the expert with this stuff? Why am I not seeing my...
Anna and Melissa, can you guys please mute? Can you mute, please, Anna?
Kim. It's Kim too. All right, I can't stop.
If it helps, I'm not sure how it is on Apple, but for me, if you click on participants, it brings up a list of everyone in the group, and I'm guessing the host might be able to mute from there because I can unmute myself, so, or mute.
Okay. Oh my God, thank you so much.
No problem.
I just muted myself. I just muted. Okay, can you hear me? Somebody nod.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. That didn't help though. Hang on one second. Yes, I got it. Thank you so much for that. I'm not sure who said that, but thank you so much. I didn't think to hit the participants. And now we've just got my face. So blue lace agate, super good for public speaking, for being able to stay calm in a situation where there is a lot of people. If you're a person like me that I love teaching and I love sharing what I know about crystals, but I'm not super keen on huge crowds. So this is a really good stone to help with that. It helps with nerves and anxiety. It is also helpful with anger. It's one of the stones that if you or someone you know has an anger problem, this would be a good stone to gift them because it helps calm down those aspects of our the energy that comes from it for me is just, it's like taking, well, I was going to give a very crude example, which is when you get home from work and you take off your bra, you go, oh, I can breathe. It has that kind of release, that kind of softness to it. If you're a good person who does breathing exercises, it's like when you start to get into the rhythm of it and you start to feel becoming more centered, it's that kind of stone. And it helps with nerves, anxiety, and it offers peace. So it's a really good communication stone if you are trying to deal with someone that you may struggle with, or that you may be concerned that they will not respond well to your trying to communicate, then this is a good stone for you to have. If you're holding it, then it will help you, and then that'll help that person, because communication is a two-way street. It goes back and forth. So if your frequency is I'm calm, I'm at peace, I'm not stressed by this, then it'll go straight across and that it'll affect that person. It is also another, like last one I said that it was really good for self-grief. This one is also good for the kind of self-grief, but also for self-forgiveness and accepting one's life and being able to settle to that. So if there's things that you've done that don't necessarily resonate with who you are today, this is a kind of stone to work with, because it'll allow you to say that was then, and I am now, and it'll allow you to accept that part of your life, and then give you the freedom to move on. And I don't think I forgot to say, one of the key words with the throat is freedom. And that throat energy center is a freedom to speak, freedom to express yourself, however that looks, that kind of freedom. And blue lace agate does have that aspect to it. So blue lace agate and Larimar have a similar frequency. I think that Larimer is more warming. This is my opinion. You may find them both, they will have that sort of soft frequency, but how you translate it may be different. I find Larimar to be warming. It reminds me, it is from the Dominican, but it reminds me of those pictures of the Caribbean Ocean where there's not a whole lot of waves. It's all very calm. And I'm sitting in a lounge chair drinking. That's what I think. Now, okay, not drinking, never mind, bad joke. But blue lace agate is a little bit more allowing things to flow, but it's a bit cooler. So that's where, like, that, if your anger, which is heating and causing things to heat up, if you're angry with someone, grab a piece of blue lace agate, hold it in your palm, and it should be able to help calm that down. So those are okay. Now this next stone is a different stone. It's still under the throat energy center, but it's different than Larimar and blue lace agate have some frequency similars. This one has some of the blue things, but it is quite different. It's called Iolite, IOLITE. And this is, I'll show you both, or show you all. So this is like a palm stone. This is what it looks like. There are no gold streaks in it. There's not a lot of white. It's mostly just blue, dark blue with streaks. Here's one that is a rough polish or a rough tumble. Again, it doesn't have the white like sodalite, and it doesn't have any kind of pyrite sparkles in it to do with lapis. So it's a really interesting stone. It's different than the other two, and I think it's to do with the dark color part of it. It is really good for relationships. Now, we have our heart, and that is very much when we open our heart to people and we communicate that way. This is a stone that is really good for communication, not just in terms of loved ones or family, but any kind of communication. If you have to go and talk with your boss about something, and you know that it's a kind of conversation that could go any way, this would be a great stone to have. Well, this might be a little big to have in your pocket, but I've been known to walk around with lots of stones in my pockets. So I might, but you can get some smaller tumbles from different places, and clean them. Obviously, always clean a crystal when you get it, and you hold it, and its frequency is compared to Larimar and blue lace agate. This feels like an undercurrent. It has that underneath pulling, calming. It is calming, It still has that cooling effect, but it's the undercurrent. So you start to feel more of the mental processes. Sort of this, if you need to have a come to Jesus talk with someone, then this would be a good stone to have, because it would allow you to have that anchorage in the communication, allow you to stay on track and not get distracted by some of the more some of the more basic things down at the sort of down in the lower part, material part. This would keep it up, heady, being able to communicate. It's also a balancing stone between the divine masculine and the divine feminine, or yin and yang. It works well for being able to manage the difference between, not the difference, if you have a very in the face kind of job, we'll just say masculine kind of job, this has nothing to do with gender, this is to do with energy, and then you come home and you feel a bit out of whack, this would be a good stone to hold on to for a few minutes to help you get back to get those two balanced together. So I think that it's an incredibly powerful stone. It is good for astral work and astral traveling, if that is something that you are working towards, or that you are, I don't know how to do this with my camera, it's kicking my ass today. So
Okay, board.
it is, oh, okay. So it is very much to do with that kind of, we're starting to move more into the emotional, mental kind of part of our world. And this is really useful for that. It is, helps. So you've done all this shadow work, you've done all this work, you're trying to get your heart open. And then this is the next level. And this is a really good stone to help in the next stages for the journey, a person's journey. It helps. So if you do guided meditations with visualization, this stone will help you and you struggle with visualization. And that's something that you're just not quite able to get the hang of. This is a really good stone to hold when you're doing that meditation, your eyes are closed and you're trying to visualize your, I don't know, your sacred place, and that's always been a struggle. This is a great stone to give you that extra focus on how to visualize something while in a deeper state, in a slower state. It is a stone of hope and calmness in, seriously, today's bad video day. So it is very much to do with the hope and calmness in the face of struggle. Blue lace agate's really good for anger. This is really good for your own internal struggle that we all have, that we all go through as we try to grow as people. So this is important. This is not something, this is what I've read. It's not something that I've experienced, but it is said to help with past life recollection, and then helping you take care of the journey. If there's things that have come up in your life that keep coming up, and it could be something that you've brought forward from the past life that you need to deal with, this is a really good stone to help you find that. I have not been able to be successful at that particular aspect of things, but I will keep trying. And if it happens, then I'll let you all know, because I'll be super psyched. but it has that capability of, yeah, just has that capability. And let me just make sure I've got everything. Yeah, it works. The iolice's just really good for working into the higher aspects of things, the higher realm that we all are a part of. This is a really good stone for the next step. I have slept with this quite often underneath my pillow to help me with dream recollection, because I'm not one who remembers dreams very well. And so when I've slept with this, I remember dreams better. My next step is to be able to write them down. I'm not quite there yet, but it definitely allows me to have a much better recollection of dreams. It also helps shut down my noisy brain when I'm trying to sleep. And so as I try to meditate myself to sleep, my noisy brain shows up with a whole list of things that I didn't do today. And then this stone allows for those voices, those distractions to become more minimal. It's like it turns down the volume on those. Bring up the energy. Okay, and then, so I talked about sort of like being higher work that I just remember this, is it's bringing up the work that you've done from your survival centers, from the base, from the sacral, and from the solar plexus and into the heart. And it brings up, it up, and then it allows you to start working on the things that are still needing to be worked on. And I think that that's really important. Now, my sort of gut feeling is that the darker the stone, the darker the blue, the more it is about the in-depth, oh, distraction, a kitty, oh, Brandy, oh, what kind of kitty is he? You don't know. Sorry, guys. Kitty
Just a
distraction.
kitty I adopted a couple of months ago.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody. Sorry for the kitty distraction. I can't help it.
Never
Yeah,
be
so
sorry
this-
for a kitty distraction.
Exactly. So yeah, so this is one that you've done the work. You're doing the work. You shadow work. You can call it, personal development work. You can call it lots of different things, but it's just part of our life is doing that work, taking care of neutralizing the things that might have hurt us, and then bringing us forward so we can grow into a higher, being able to connect to higher things while still keeping our feet on the ground, because we don't want to get too heady. We always need to stay grounded. This is why I love working with crystals, is because they are from the ground, and no matter how high they push you, no matter how much work, in terms of higher work that you're doing, the fact is that working with crystals will keep you, it'll keep you centered and grounded, because it is, it's from the ground. And I think that for me, this has been the biggest leaps in my own personal growth, have been working with crystals, where it allowed me to start to really work on the more challenging things that I needed to deal with and get the support that I needed. So I think that's about all I got with the three. We have the Larimer, and then we have the blue lace agate. Similar, I think Larimer is a little bit like warming, and then blue lace agate's a little bit more calming. So if you're angry, then you can hold it and it'll help calm that down. And then iolite, which is the beginning of our blue into indigo, sort of this part of our journey when we talk about some of the higher centers. In next class, I'll go over what I mean by higher centers in a more, I know what I mean by it, but I'm going to try and break it down so that it makes more sense for everybody. Because when you say higher centers, you're like, what? I don't know what that means exactly. And those are some of the thoughts that you have. Now, some people can say talking with angels or talking with spirit guides or talking with whoever. It can be where you get your messages for what you need to do next, however they show up. There is no right or wrong path in that. And next time, so because we'll be hitting the third eye next time, so we'll go into that in much more depth. This is the stone that will get us heading towards the third eye. And then there we'll be working with different stones with different things, but I will go into the higher, what I mean by higher work, because I think that's a bit bandied about and it's easy to oh, I've been doing some higher work lately,
Sure.
which is kind of bullshit if you ask me.
Is it purple? Is the color purple?
The iolite?
No, next week. Is it purple?
It's going to be, yes, it's going to be purple. It kind of goes, it's the indigo into purple, and then the week after that the crown will be white. In the rainbow, it goes indigo and violet, and then something different. So the indigo and violet are together. We'll just call them purple, and those will be purple stones. And you know me, Hannah, I probably won't talk about amethyst. I'll probably talk about 3 weird stones that people don't have any idea about.
Can you see this amethyst? This is my favorite one that I
Okay.
have. It's a rose. Can you see it?
I'm not seeing you. No, I'm not seeing you. Hang on. Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. Don't leave that in the sunlight.
No, I did. That's why it's light now. That's why I
It's
said that, because
beautiful.
it used to be purple. Used to be dark purple.
It'll still
Then
have the same frequency.
I still love it. But that's
So-
how I
oh.
learned about bleaching crystals in the sun, was that piece right there. 'Cause it used to be super.
Yes.
Do you remember when I first got it, how much darker it was?
I do.
Yeah. I left
So-
it in the sun in Colorado, actually, on my trip out there, and it turned light purple.
Well, maybe you needed the darker purple for you. And so
Yeah.
it gave it to you. So
Mhm.
I want to talk about, this is the last thing we're going to talk about today, is the difference between rough and tumbled or polished. It depends on who you talk to. There are many people who believe rough is stronger and is therefore it's a more powerful frequency. I am not one that prescribes to that. I think even though we joke about, it doesn't matter the size, and that's a long-standing joke for most people. Size doesn't matter, but with crystals, size doesn't matter. I'm a crystal dragon, so I want as many crystals as I can get my fingers onto, but size doesn't matter because it's connection to the earth. So you can actually have a chip. If that's the only thing you've got a chip and you put it in your palm into that energy center, you are connecting to all other citrines or all other iolites. Oh, let me see what this. I would put it on the back of my neck because the cold. So someone asked, she's heard that it's good for migraines. Absolutely, and it is. I would put it where your spine hits. It's called the occipital lobe. It's where your spine hits the skull. And then I would put like lay down, try not to get a super bumpy one. But you can, something like this would work a charm, because you could put it underneath, you put it where the pillow is and allow it to seep into the tensions, and then being able to relax those tensions. I think it would depend on the kind of migraine as well, because if it's a visual, or hemiplegic, or forgot, done by stress, brought on by stress, I would think putting it back there would work a charm. Absolutely. So back to this raw versus smooth. I really, I love crystals. I like big crystals. I like small crystals. I like chips. I like crystals. And I don't have I really think that you can have a crystal this big and it can be just as powerful as a crystal that's this big. Size does not matter. It's nicer, bigger ones look cooler, but you are connecting to the earth through a lattice structure that you are holding in your body, and then you're just connecting down. So literally it could be just a chip and you connect to it. It can be a raw chip or it can be a tumbled chip. I don't see any difference. Now, that said, everybody has their own way of working with things. And if someone finds that the raw works much better for them, then I would support that all the way, because that's the stone that they are connected to. That's how it works best for them. For me, I feel just as powerful with a raw versus a tumbled, and I actually find the tumbled one's a little bit smoother, so it works a little bit better with me. I also, when I do healing work in person, I will put stones on, do body work on people with stones, and I'm not going to do it with rough ones because they're rough. So that's my preference, but I think it's a preference. It really comes down to what you prefer and how it works. And next time you go into a rock shop, pick up some raw ones, see what it is, then go and pick up some tumble ones and see if you feel a difference. Remember, in rock shops, lots and lots of people have touched those stones. So sometimes you're going to pick up other frequencies that have nothing to do with stone and nothing to do with you. But you should be, shield yourself, but then say, I want to be able to feel the stone, and then go and get a feel for this tumbled, and whichever one then you have a drawing to, then go for that. And when it comes to going to rock shops, be able to go in there and just get the rocks that you need without realizing it. So that wraps up this class. I'm going to turn off the recording, and then I'm going to have just one more minute. But I'm going to turn off the recording now. Maybe. Okay.